Have you ever been around someone who seems to drain all your energy, leaving you emotionally exhausted after every encounter? At some point, we've all met people who bring more problems than solutions, more drama than peace. These toxic individuals can deeply affect our mental health, our focus, and even our most important relationships. Being around them can lead to anxiety, stress, and in many cases, make us question our own self-worth. What's even more concerning is that we often don't realize how much we're being negatively influenced until it's too late. Today, I'm going to share with you 11 smart ways to deal with toxic people. By applying these strategies, you'll protect your mental peace, your time, and your energy, avoiding getting dragged into the chaos they try to create. Stick around until the end, because the last tip might be the most essential of all. 1. Set clear boundaries. One of the first things you should do when dealing with toxic people is to establish clear boundaries. Without these limits, toxic individuals can invade your emotional, physical, and mental space, draining your energy. Setting boundaries doesn't mean completely cutting someone out of your life or being rude. It simply means drawing a line for what is acceptable to you. This approach demonstrates self-confidence and self-respect. As Stephen Covey highlights in The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, it's essential to learn how to say no when necessary. Prioritizing your own needs and goals helps you maintain control over your life, without letting others dictate your actions. By setting boundaries, you block manipulation attempts and prevent toxic people from creating a chaotic environment around you. Additionally, establishing these limits ensures that you don't feel guilty for protecting your well-being. Toxic individuals often use emotional manipulation to make you feel like you owe them something. However, when your boundaries are clear from the start, this tactic becomes ineffective. Knowing how far you're willing to go strengthens your ability to maintain healthier, more balanced relationships. 2. Choose which words truly matter. One smart way to deal with toxic people is to learn how to filter what they say. Not every comment or criticism needs to be absorbed. Often, what is said is only meant to destabilize you or provoke an emotional reaction. By listening with discernment, you can identify what deserves attention and what should be discarded immediately. Practicing this filtering process helps you avoid the exhaustion of responding to unnecessary provocations or justifications. It also protects your emotional balance, as toxic words lose their power to affect your decisions and mood. The key is not to react to everything, but to stay focused on what truly matters to you. Moreover, by ignoring what doesn't add value, you maintain control over the conversation and avoid falling into emotional traps. Malicious criticism or sarcastic remarks lose their impact when you don't take them seriously. 3. Avoid getting caught in drama cycles. One of the most effective ways to deal with toxic people is to avoid getting pulled into their drama cycles. These individuals often create repetitive conflicts, resolve them superficially, and then quickly restart the cycle. Recognizing this pattern, the best approach is to resist getting involved. The key is not to react at the first sign of drama. When you notice that a situation is about to repeat itself, stay calm and avoid participating actively. Breaking the cycle is essential to prevent your energy from being drained by situations that offer no real solution or progress. Taking an emotionally distant stance also helps preserve your mental peace. By not getting involved, you prevent toxic cycles from affecting your well-being, allowing you to move forward and focus on your own priorities. 4. Use silence as a tool. In many cases, silence is the best response when dealing with toxic people. Not every situation requires a verbal reaction, and sometimes, no response is more effective than any argument. Silence acts as a barrier, disrupting the flow of toxicity since many toxic individuals feed off attention and confrontation. Instead of engaging in endless arguments or trying to counter attacks, choosing silence can be a smart strategy. When there is no response, the toxic person loses the opportunity to twist your words or manipulate the conversation. This choice to remain silent creates a neutral environment where the other person can't provoke the conflict they desire. Additionally, silence provides space for reflection. By not reacting impulsively, you give yourself time to assess the situation more clearly and decide the best course of action. This allows you to maintain emotional control and avoid falling into the traps a toxic person might be trying to set. 5. Use humor to diffuse situations. Humor is a powerful tool when dealing with toxic people. Instead of getting drawn into provocations or arguments, a light-hearted and humorous approach can deconstruct the situation. With a simple funny comment, you can change the tone of the conversation, diffuse tension, and avoid direct confrontation, all while maintaining control of the situation. Additionally, humor acts as an emotional shield. By responding with levity, you show that you are not easily shaken by attempts at manipulation or negativity. This destabilizes the toxic person, who usually seeks strong emotional reactions. A touch of humor redirects the conflict and shows that you are not willing to engage in the emotional control game they are trying to impose. This strategy also helps maintain a positive outlook. Laughing at a stressful situation prevents negativity from sinking in and affecting your emotional state, allowing you to move forward without carrying the burden of toxicity. 6. Know when to let the conversation die. Not every argument or interaction with a toxic person needs a clear resolution. Sometimes the best strategy is to let the conversation die naturally, without prolonging debates that lead nowhere. Insisting on reaching a consensus or clarifying every detail can actually fuel more drama and create opportunities for manipulation. This approach is particularly effective when the other person always needs to have the last word. Instead of trying to win the discussion, choosing silence and allowing the conversation to end without a response is a way to preserve your mental peace. Silence is not a surrender, but a strategy to avoid emotional exhaustion. Recognizing that some battles aren't worth fighting is a sign of strength, not weakness. By letting the conversation end on its own, you conserve your energy and demonstrate control over the situation. There's no need for approval or agreement to move forward. Often, this attitude is key to maintaining your emotional balance and preventing the chaos caused by toxic people from impacting your life. 7. Keep control of your time. Time is one of the most valuable resources, especially when dealing with toxic people. Negative individuals can easily consume precious hours with arguments, complaints, and manipulation if you allow it. That's why an effective strategy is to strictly control the time you dedicate to these interactions. When you realize you're being pulled into an unproductive conversation, cut it off immediately. There's no need to feel guilty for limiting your time with toxic people. Setting clear boundaries on how much time and attention you're willing to give is a form of self-respect and energy protection. This efficient time management ensures that your personal priorities, such as work, self-care, and healthy relationships, aren't compromised by the distractions these interactions cause. This way, you make it clear that other people's toxicity won't be an obstacle to your goals or well-being. Knowing when to end a conversation, a meeting, or even a phone call with a toxic person is a sign of emotional maturity and focus on what truly matters. 8. Choose your words carefully. When dealing with toxic people, words carry significant weight. Any comment made in a moment of frustration can be twisted or used against you to further fuel negative behavior. That's why choosing your words carefully is crucial to avoid falling into emotional traps and to keep the conversation at a neutral level. Clarity and objectivity are also essential. Keeping communication direct and straightforward prevents the other person from manipulating the dialogue or dragging out meaningless discussions. It's not about being cold or distant, but rather strategic, saying only what's necessary and avoiding giving room for your words to be misinterpreted or distorted. This approach helps you avoid unnecessary arguments and ensures you maintain control of the interaction. By speaking mindfully and avoiding emotional exaggerations, you neutralize manipulation attempts and prevent the conversation from spiraling into an endless drama cycle. 9. Identify behavior patterns. When dealing with toxic people, it's important to develop the ability to identify repeated behavior patterns. Instead of being misled by momentary excuses or temporary justifications, focus on the overall behavior over time. Paying attention to signs of manipulation, constant victimization, or excessive control helps you see the person's true nature. Recognizing these patterns allows you to act before the toxic behavior intensifies. Once it's clear that a negative cycle is forming, whether at work, in friendships, or in relationships, the best approach is to adjust your interactions to avoid being drawn in. This may mean limiting the time spent with them or keeping conversations more superficial, always with the goal of avoiding deep emotional involvement. This preventative approach helps you avoid the emotional exhaustion of trying to change what is already predictable. Generally, Toxic people don't change their behavior easily, and recognizing this early on helps you preserve your inner peace and energy without getting trapped in dynamics that lead nowhere. 10. Avoid unnecessary justifications. Dealing with toxic people requires caution, especially when the temptation to repeatedly justify yourself arises. Constantly explaining your actions or decisions can open the door to manipulation. When you sense that the person is trying to control the narrative or induce guilt, the best strategy is to stop providing detailed explanations and maintain a firm stance. Toxic people often want you to feel obligated to justify every step you take, using this as a hook to prolong discussions or create endless questioning. The ideal response is to be brief and objective, avoiding engagement in this game. There's no need to seek external validation to move forward with your choices, and understanding this prevents these individuals from destabilizing you. By avoiding the need to constantly justify yourself, you strengthen your position and convey confidence in your decisions. This disarms the toxic person, who realizes they won't have the control they desire over your actions. In doing so, you maintain your integrity and move forward without carrying the weight of others' expectations. 11. Stay focused on the long term. When dealing with toxic people, it's easy to get sucked into immediate and intense conflicts. However, keeping a long-term focus is a smart way to avoid impulsive reactions and decisions based on fleeting emotions. Many provocations and dramas are only temporary, and seeing this clearly helps you stay calm and avoid responding hastily. This long-term perspective also prevents you from wasting energy on battles that ultimately won't bring real benefits. Asking yourself, "Will this matter a year from now?" helps you filter what deserves your attention and what can be ignored. Often, the answer will be no, providing the clarity needed to avoid getting drained by small issues and provocations that have little long-term impact. Maintaining this strategic outlook makes you less vulnerable to emotional manipulation. Toxic people tend to act in the moment, creating conflicts and trying to destabilize you with provocations that demand quick responses. However, by focusing on the future and your own growth, you protect yourself from these traps and make more thoughtful decisions without being dragged into momentary chaos. Bonus tip number 1. Don't take their behavior personally. When dealing with toxic people, one of the hardest but most important things to remember is not to take their behavior personally. Toxic individuals often project their insecurities, frustrations, or unresolved issues onto others. This means their negative behavior is more about them than it is about you. By recognizing this, you can protect yourself from unnecessary emotional distress. Instead of internalizing their criticism or feeling attacked, understand that their toxic behavior stems from their own internal struggles. They may try to make you feel guilty, inadequate, or responsible for their problems, but these are manipulative tactics meant to shift the blame. The key is to maintain emotional distance and not let their words or actions affect your sense of self-worth. When you stop taking their behavior personally, it becomes easier to navigate interactions with toxic people. You can maintain a sense of calm and composure, knowing that their negativity is not a reflection of you. This mindset shift allows you to engage with them on your own terms, without getting caught up in their emotional games. Bonus tip number 2. Surround yourself with positive people. One of the best ways to combat the effects of toxic individuals is to surround yourself with positive, supportive people. Having a strong network of friends, family, or colleagues who uplift you can counterbalance the negativity that toxic people bring into your life. These positive relationships act as a buffer, reminding you of your value and helping you stay grounded. Positive people provide a safe space for you to express yourself without judgment. They listen, offer constructive advice, and encourage your personal growth. By spending more time with individuals who inspire and energize you, you'll find it easier to manage the stress caused by toxic interactions. Their influence helps you maintain perspective and prevents toxic individuals from having a lasting impact on your well-being. Furthermore, positive relationships reinforce your boundaries and boost your emotional resilience. When you're surrounded by people who respect and appreciate you, it becomes clear who deserves your time and attention and who doesn't. Dealing with toxic people is something we all face at some point in our lives, but it doesn't have to overwhelm you. By applying these smart strategies, you can protect your peace, energy, and emotional well-being. Setting clear boundaries, filtering words wisely, recognizing toxic patterns, and staying focused on the long term all allow you to maintain control in difficult situations. The key takeaway is that you can't always change the people around you, but you can change how you react to them. These techniques aren't just about surviving toxic interactions, they're about thriving despite them. By mastering these methods, you ensure that toxic people don't dictate the course of your life or steal your focus from what truly matters. Remember, you have the power to decide how much access others have to your time and emotions. Choosing when and how to engage is crucial to preserving your mental health. When you take these steps, you'll find that toxic people have less and less influence over you, and their negativity won't derail your progress. Ultimately, the goal is to cultivate an environment where your energy is spent on relationships and pursuits that uplift and inspire you. By reinforcing these strategies, you're investing in your long-term happiness and personal growth. So take charge, protect your peace, and continue moving forward with confidence.